With the new year in full swing, it's the perfect time to bring you episode 4 of the Lifestyle series to help you, your kids and students if you're a teacher, to optimise learning so we can unleash our true potential, something we all want. I'm Louise Love. Thanks so much for joining me again on this journey, and today I'm coming to you from the gorgeous and hot, I might add, Gold Coast, where I have just presented my research to a board of professors at Bond University on innovative strategies to assist children to function to optimal levels. So I'm on a bit of a high from that. Safe to say, I was pretty keen when I was in school. I love to learn new ways of doing things. I used a combination of methods to help me excel academically and during exams, something which can be really anxiety-provoking for many of us. I did whatever worked and whatever I could to help me to consolidate new things that I learnt in the classroom so that I could perform to my best when it counted and also really meaningfully integrate new things I learnt into my life. So here I have condensed down a few broad concepts, my personal tips you might like to adapt to use yourself for effective teaching as well as learning in your own life. First tip, work smart, not hard. And we hear this so often, but I'm a big believer in it. After all, it makes learning more enjoyable and more impactful. Yeah, a few ways that you can do this is by chunking, to make it easy for yourself. When studying for exams, for instance. We do this all the time to remember things like phone numbers and things like that. We break them up into little parts so that it's not so overwhelming. Psychologists say that we can easily overload our working memory with excessive detail. And when we do this, we can lose sight of that big picture. The average person can recall roughly 7 things plus or minus 2 short term. So put things into groups while studying and dot point under there the essential things you might need to remember. And you can turbocharge your notes by using a colour coding system, or even, if you're a visual learner, some ways to chunk information is through a visual flowchart or drawing it out on a page. And if you're a bit more auditory like me, you want to record yourself saying your notes, your chunk notes that is, out loud to help you recall the material for exams. You may even want to get creative by turning them into some easy to remember rhyme or song or something like that. Another great one for auditory learners, when I was a little girl, my dad would ask me about new things that I learnt and get me to explain them to him. Like that old saying goes, you don't really understand something unless you can explain it to your grandmother. So thanks Dad, you were actually helping me learn. When my husband was studying complementary medicine and his degree, he had to recall a gazillion Latin names of medicinal plants for exams, which seemed near impossible at the time to remember. When he studied, we would play a game using some unique feature or characteristic of that plant, flower, root or herb, and link it to something that sounded like the Latin name, which would make him think of it. Basically, it was like a word association that was personalised. For example, ginger. The Latin name is Zingiber officinalis, and he had the second word down pat, as I think it refers to a broad classification of plants. So when we thought about ginger, we thought, oh, okay, what are the features of ginger? It's spicy, it's got a lot of zing, it's a bit zingy. See, it's a bit silly, but it worked really well, and he's a pro at it now. Basically, find a strategy that works for you and go with it. Tip 2, use an effective study routine to tackle anxiety and use your senses. Performance anxiety and state anxiety is widely studied. When we start getting ourselves in that highly aroused and pressurized stress state, our functional IQ actually drops, and we block ourselves from remembering things we normally would easily know. Now, this might sound a little bit crazy, but I used to use psychoaromatherapy when I studied and went into exams. So basically, when I went into exams, when I would sit down at my study desk, I would place a particular essential oil on tissue and I'd smell it frequently. Then when I got into the exam later, I would also get that tissue out and smell it to help me recall things. And what I was doing during my study sessions, that content would come back to me. So if you think this is a little bit crazy and nonsense, remember your first love, that first kiss maybe? I bet any time someone walks past wearing that perfume or aftershave that your sweetheart wore that day, it sends heaps of memories flooding back about them or about that experience. Maybe find details that you normally wouldn't remember or think about. So remember, using our senses can be a powerful supplement to a good study routine. You can also use things like EFT tapping to help you calm down before going into an exam. The research shows it really works, so give it a go and see how it can help you. So in essence, look after yourself by having good study habits. It's common knowledge, but make sure you get enough sleep the night before, because when we're well rested, we can think clearer. And make sure you have a healthy breakfast, but avoid white bluggy stuff if you want to keep your mind sharp. I also used to supplement my study routine with brain food, things that are evidence-based and shown to increase mental performance. Natural supplements like Gotu Cola, Brahmi, Ginkgo, which improves memory. I'm married to a naturopath, so it sort of helps that I know about that stuff. Also other things like walnuts, fish, almonds, and things with those great omega fatty acids in them to help your brain work like a well-oiled machine. So last one, tip 3, sleep on it. We hear so many people say that they cram for exams by pulling all-nighters and missing out on sleep. But this can be the opposite of what actually works. Sleep is essential for learning, consolidation and memory, especially rapid eye movement or REM. It's the kind of sleep that happens in that last part of the night at the end of the 8 hours. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you might want to look at setting up a better routine to help you drift off at night time. You know, things like avoiding stimulants in the afternoon, watching too much TV, having coffee and things like that. For those of you wanting to go the extra mile, you might want to try some hypnosis or guided meditation tapes. Ones that have been really helpful for me in performing well are tracks by Paul McKenna, a CD called Unleash Your True Potential, stuff by Louise Hay, Drawing Virtue, or any of the Hay House crew is always great. Or you might even like to try Kelly Howell and her brilliant binaural beat tracks. These can also help you with anxiety, trouble with sleep, and help you trust in your ability to perform confidently in exams. Well, that's pretty much it from me here in the sunny GC. I better get back to enjoying myself and go have a swim. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found my top study tips useful to be calm, cool and collected when you've got exams happening, and this has helped you to put it all into a bit of perspective. See you next time. Bye!